Hey everyone, Dave, Ryan, December 1773. Today we're going to talk about Tate plus the new format we plan on doing here at the weekly show. Ryan, take it away. I know you had something you wanted to get off your chest here.
Yeah, I just want to breeze over a quick Christmas story. As always, I hope everybody had a good holiday. Thanks for dropping by and seeing Dave and I. Hello, David. As always, thank you. And so I texted Dave last week. I'm itching for a pod. It's just interesting to as we go further into this, and we are just living literally. I'll get there, but it's just interesting. I'm super excited, and I'm just energized. It was super awesome. I was having a conversation with a family member, and I was like, God, I'm ranting. I need the podcast, so I'm just excited to get back into it. Once again, Happy New Year. Hope everybody's Christmases was good and healthy and happy. And we had something here locally go down that we'll get to, but it's interesting.
Before we get into Tate, we were just thinking, given YouTube's algorithm and the way they do business, the weekly show is basically going to be broken up into 5 parts. We're going to have, one Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then everyone can have their weekends to themselves. So this is going to be Monday's episode, and obviously over the weekend, the biggest news that broke was Andrew Tate was it the weekend? Friday? I don't remember exactly when this
went down. It was, I believe it was Friday, but over the weekend for sure.
Andrew Tate, Top G, was taken away for what? How Pizza? Would you even describe what happened here, Ryan?
Well,
he's in a sex trafficking ring. I mean, that seems extreme.
It is alleged that he was involved in rape, kidnapping, criminal investigation. They were organizing criminal, a criminal organized gang, basically. And they were saying that they were exploiting women and forcing them to do things on camera for pornography that would be sold on sites. And yeah. So
where do we start with this? Do we get into our general? Do we even think he's guilty of these charges? I mean, these are serious. I mean, this is no joke.
I mean, obviously, here's the problem with me being in the conspiracy realm. For all I know, this guy's a fucking Russian mob guy that likes having sex with children to begin with, and then he's just propped up because of these fucking algorithms to begin with. It's you don't really know. I mean, you don't really know. I mean, obviously, it's so easy to say because we can document stuff with the internet, and there's always a paper trail now, but we obviously don't know this guy. I'm sure he's not the same off camera as he is on camera. I've heard different things. But generally,
I've heard he's a lot. Obviously, on camera, he has his own personality, but I've heard off camera he's actually a relatively laid back guy.
Yeah, it just makes me question a lot of things. I mean, obviously, when you speak out against the Matrix and everything else, as he puts it in the establishment, and what do you expect to happen? I mean, this is the thing that part of this, the Twitter files is kind of like the idea of them gathering information about people on the internet, right? So there's also a couple things that are interesting about it, but just round out about Tate and the allegations. I don't necessarily think that he is this. Now, I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not wrong. I hope this guy that I have defended and everything else through some of these other allegations, and when he got canceled, then I originally brought it to the forefront on this program a few years ago that I ran into this guy, and he's just like, it's sweet, right? And then to see him blow up, and then to see it go through, and then to see arrest, this reminds me of Alex. What is different? Alex, Kanye, and Andrew Tate, most hated men in America. And they've done everything to all 3 of these guys. They've bankrupted them. They've tried putting them in prison or say they're psycho or, now I'm not saying that Tate could get set up or was set up, but why would I think it's more likely that he was set up than him being a rapist. I will say that.
Here's where I'm a little curious, right?
The State Department of the United States was involved with it, I've heard. And this is inside sources that I heard on another program, Patrick David. And he has people, once again, these rich people talk, which is why, he was on how many fucking programs? You know,
Yeah,
he was on tons of programs. He talked to all these people, met with all these people, and then they say it's because of a pizza delivery box, which is hilarious. There's no way that they knew where that guy lived the whole time. How many Bugattis does he have registered to a you know?
well, that's where I think it all gets really interesting, right? So this guy has been known, right, and the allege is trafficking. From was the biggest one that I heard, and obviously there was rape and stuff. So these are serious charges. But this has been alleged against him, and they've been apparently investigating this for over a year. So for a year, they let this guy go, right? They let him roam the streets and do what they think he's doing. And then we're told that they don't know where he is. That's why they didn't get him. But the pizza delivery box, that's how they narrowed him down to Romania. Meanwhile, he's on every podcast in the world telling people he lives in Romania. So I find a
He
lot
is
of
fresh
and
and fit from fucking Miami, fly to Romania, and he picks him up at the airport and drives him to the compound. They talked about
and
it on Rumble.
and they let him go a day later. Right? Wasn't he out 24, 48 hours later? I mean, he's gone. Like he's out of prison. They held him for a day or so, and then they let him go. So for a year, they ran this investigation. They claimed they didn't know where he was until there was a pizza box picture or some shit on the internet. That's how they found him. But then after they picked him up, they let him go a day later. Like none of this adds up at all.
They originally wanted to hold him for a month too, which is also always suspect. You can fucking find anything if you hold somebody in court for, you hold them in jail for a month. You're gonna find something. That's literally like the whole I like. We're also looking at this through the American lens, right? Innocent until proven guilty, right?
Mhm.
Even though we don't
Even
necessarily
that's
think
kind
that,
of even that's kind of going by the wayside from what I can
you
tell.
know, yeah, court of public opinion. Johnny Depp, we've talked about on this program, was a
Mhm.
great highlight of that. This Elon Musk, Alex Jones. Once again, it's weird that all these names keep getting bunched up together, but I wonder why. Anyways, yeah, man. Like, I don't think you're that open and fragrant about stuff if you plan on being this fucking sex trafficking, organized crime kingpin. Now, granted, maybe he is that big of a pimp, and he thought that he could just get away with it because of how corrupt the country is. He has talked about using the corruption of a country to his advantage because he can buy his way into things. But for a guy that's all about chess and everything else, and what he spoke out against, and the Matrix will come for you. And he talked about banks turning them down and what, like, I've
Uber,
seen this. Yeah, I've seen this. Now,
B&B,
granted,
Airbnb.
I put some of these things together. Now, granted, maybe those things happened. Maybe he spun a timeline and he was under investigation for this for a long time. And that's why he got banks dropped him, TikTok canceled him.
Could be.
Maybe it was actually all around these allegations. And then he spun it into this narrative that the Matrix is attacking me. Who, like I said, who really fucking knows? But I look, like, unless we're living Batman, Ben Shapiro tells me it's Veep, not House of Cards, David. So unless we're living like we're Kingpin from fucking Spider-Man comics, or a guy from a Batman comic book is the guy that you see on TikTok that is now running sex rings and organized crime. But then again, who's been at Epstein's Island? Andrew Cuomo was grabbing people inappropriately for years. Harvey Weinstein. Like, what do I know? For all I know, he was selling the girls to fucking Epstein. Wouldn't that be a crazy connection? What color
Yeah.
is your Bugatti? I mean, how does a 30-year-old make all this fucking money to buy 21 supercars and have all this shit? I mean, maybe it was all just in casinos and smut and, porn sites and webcam girls and everything, and OnlyFans girls and all this stuff, and opening businesses.
So
And then it's
let's assume he's not lying, and that's a bold assumption. I'm not saying I don't think he's lying, but if you follow everything he's done, his steps to go from where he was to where he's gotten do kind of make sense. I mean, he was a kickboxer or whatever, blah blah blah, but then he got in this thing where they were doing the cam girls, right? Him and his brother, I believe. So they were basically managers for cam girls who were doing pornographic things online. Now this was all mutual. The cut was, they were better marketers than the girls were, right? So instead of the girls doing their own thing and making, I don't know, grand a month or whatever the fuck they would have made, who knows? Tate comes along and says, we're going to give you you're going to make 10 times as much because we're marketing you better, but I'm taking half. Either way, the cam girl makes out better, but now also Tate is getting paid. That's what he claimed, and then he took that money and he continued investing it and doing all these things. They opened casinos and blah 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 blah. The story goes on. I don't think I'd be surprised if he had as much money as he said he does. He said something along the lines of, once he hit 50 or 60 million, nothing's really different because how many things are you going to buy? 50, $60 million is going to buy you infinite amounts of things, basically.
Like underage women?
Right. And I thought it was interesting. He picked that number 50 or 60 million. My guess is his net worth is probably in the 50 to 60 million range, not 300 million or whatever the fuck he was claiming he was worth online. Regardless of all that, I think his tale of events kind of makes sense, more so than the other story we were told, which is they knew what he was doing for a year, but they didn't know where he was, and when they caught him, then they let him go a day later. Like, none of that makes sense to me. That doesn't make any sense. If you investigated somebody for a year enough to arrest them, you would probably have enough evidence to keep them in prison. Now, the other aspect of this, Tate was also on every podcast in the world telling people that he lives in Romania because it's corrupt and it's easy to be corrupt with them. So what am I supposed to think when now this context comes about? He's out of jail a day later after being brought in for sex trafficking. Is it because Romania's corrupt? Is Romania corrupt? Is that why they arrested him in the first place, or is Romania corrupt and that's why he's out a day after he was arrested? So there's a lot of unanswered questions. Obviously, it's still very early. I'm looking forward to watching more of this and seeing what unfolds next.
Yeah, I just typed in Twitter, which is now my new search engine.
We're going to talk tomorrow more about Twitter. More Twitter files have been released. I'm having fun doing those videos, even though, believe it or not, the videos don't consume very, very much, if you can believe it.
Well, the stuff, the whole point of being entertained is the stuff's rather boring, which was made Tate so polarizing, right? This is why we talk about it. It's a culture war, right? I know we break this down every week, but this is why we break it down every week. It's dumb, but it's true because they're targeting this guy for a fucking reason. I genuinely believe now. I would hate to be wrong. I really would defend this guy and that he's selling girls into sex slavery.
But listen, when the facts come out, everybody has a right to change their opinions, right? We're working on the facts that we have currently on this date at this time. Sunday, January 1st at 8, whatever the fuck o'clock p.m. This is what we're basing our defense of Tate on. And, as more facts come out, if it turns out, holy shit, this dude's like Epstein, I'm not going to sit here and defend him anymore. But I just have my doubts.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm always reminded about like how they say money's a game, and like the better you are at the game, the more money you make, and like you can't play the game dishonestly for too long. Like you might be able to do it short-sighted, right? Like you might be able to do it for a little bit, but long-term money, getting a large amounts of money, a vast wealth of money, like you can't rip people off forever because they'll stop. Word gets around and they'll stop buying from you. They'll stop buying your product. They'll stop doing this, even monopolies and stuff, right? Like at some point, there's going to be some dirt thrown on your name and you're going to get repercussions of you being a shitty practice. I hate Walmart, prime example. I don't go there. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm not stopping the machine, I'm not participating in it because of whatever value. If you take that to every brand you buy and every store you go to, it's a powerful thing. How am I linking this to Tate here?
I think my favorite thing is when it gets off the rails and you can't remember why it's connected.
But I get it back. So yeah, I don't think Tate acquired this wealth. I mean, unless all the wealth that he acquired is dirty, unless all the people in that area of the world is dirty. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, but what is more possible is that everybody that's over there that has any kind of money is a corrupt bureaucrat official. Like they're that corrupt that they can just sell children and women into these industries. And
I think what's most possible is
high profile. I saw a thing, Dave, that his TikTok was viewed billions of times before it was banned. Billions. billions before they fucking pull the plug. You'll never put the genie in the bottle. We seen last year we talked about it when we covered it. But like the idea that you're like gonna undo this guy, like what? There's no way you're willingly exposing yourself like that when you're doing the most obvious and most corrupt and like the most egregious, quite frankly, like the worst shit you could do. It's almost, it's 9 out of 10. There's only a couple things worse, like.
Well, that's why I think, when we talk about what's most logical, I mean, we're talking about a man who went out, spoke out against the system, got canceled. The cancellation made him more famous than ever. So what do you do next if in conspiracy world, right? If you're a big corrupt government and you're trying to shut somebody up, and when you shut them up, when you think you shut them up by canceling them, now they're the most popular they've ever been. They're the most Google searched person on earth. What do? You're out of options at this point. Either kill them or arrest them. And if you kill them, it's probably a little too obvious.
You can't kill him. It makes him a martyr, right? We don't believe that anymore after fucking JFK.
Mm-hmm.
It only took us 70 years in America to learn that when they kill the guy that killed the guy, which also came out this week, fucking sons of bitches. There was so much shit. Remember, we always say it's like they would call this a November surprise during an election year, which I know it kind of was and stuff with the midterms this year. But it's interesting that little Christmas blowover between New Year's, the kind of sneaky shit they do right before the new Congress.
Well, Ryan, I think until more facts come out about Tate, we're just going to keep everyone in the know.
And for the record, David, as far as Tate being released, I don't know if he is, because even after the day after,
confident he got out.
I seen multiple things actually on Twitter. Remember how I always talked about how Twitter has the information to give you? Well, it happened to me. It was like, this information is false because it showed a video of Tate leaving police custody, but it was a different video. So I just tried typing it in Twitter quickly. So they may be out. I assume they are. I believe they are. I think they've done a Rumble stream. But the point is still, even like the information.
That's the greatest, just for the record, to go to prison and then the day after you get out, just do a Rumble stream. Legend.
Gangster. Top G, dude.
Top G.
Top
All right.
G.
Well, we'll pick up more of this as we get more information on Tate. Until then, stay tuned till tomorrow. You do the outro. Why am I doing the outro?
There's 5 outros now, David. The fuck? Dave Ryan.
We could delegate them.
Dave Ryan, December 17th, 73.
Catch us tomorrow at 7. Every day at 7. Thanks.
Every day. Daily at 7.